After 3 sets of bones were found in this backyard shed in Missoula late last year, folks in Morenci were suddenly on heightened alert. Was there a link between the discovery and the missing Skelton brothers who vanished 7 years ago while with their father? Pathologists analyzed the bones at a lab in North Texas, where they confirmed today the remains are not a match. Just last week, we went one-on-one in prison with the boy's father, John Skelton. The first thing we talked about was the ongoing investigation in Montana. When I asked John what was his first reaction when he heard about the bones, he said, "When I saw it on the news, I just rolled my eyes. When I pushed him further, he said, 'Yeah, those are not my boys.'" That was John in one of his early court appearances in 2011. And this is his latest Michigan Department of Corrections mugshot. And this is the picture I took with John during our visit on Thursday. He looks completely different. John's life has been one of solitude for the last 7 years. He spent almost his entire sentence behind bars in segregation, which means he was alone for 23 hours out of the day. But in September, they transferred John to protective custody. Corrections officers feel John isn't safe in the general population, so they keep a close eye on him at all times. Now out of segregation, John had access to a computer and email. We exchanged several messages back and forth. We set up a time to talk on the phone, and twice, John left us sitting and waiting. Detectives say John likes to manipulate and control, and this time, we saw it firsthand.
He's pretty conscious about what he says and how he says it, who he says it to. And, it's one thing for a face-to-face conversation when he can be in control of the environment and know his surroundings. But I think sometimes a phone call, especially to someone from the media, he might be a little leery of that.
Then John put us on his visitor list. We set up a date and headed out to Ionia on Thursday. I'm hoping John follows through on his word and does in fact meet with us. He has said he wants to share his side of the story. I walked in with a notebook and pen, which then I was told wasn't allowed. We weren't allowed to record our visit in any way.
Okay, we'll see what happens now.
The security process felt like it took forever, but guards opened several doors. They escorted me to a small area that looked like a classroom, full of prisoners, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw John Skelton sitting alone. We talked for more than 2 hours. Remember, we weren't allowed to bring any of our cameras inside prison, so all I had to rely on was my memory. I couldn't get back to the car fast enough so I could get everything I was thinking and feeling on tape. You can tell my adrenaline was pumping. So I walked in the room, we made eye contact, he shook my hand, and he started sobbing, which caught me off guard. John apologized for crying. He said he was so emotional because he couldn't believe he was having contact with a visitor. I was the first person to visit him here. I was sitting in the chair next to him. I didn't realize we would be in such close proximity. We were side by side the entire time, and to my surprise, John wasn't wearing any restraints. No handcuffs, his belly chain and shackles had all been removed. I asked him about the boys right off the bat. In tears, he said, "I miss their voices." John said they loved picking vegetables together, mowing the lawn, and doing dishes. You could ask anyone in Morenci or any of the inmates here. They'll tell you I was a good dad. I would never hurt my boys or anyone. On their last night together, which John remembers as being the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, John says he made the boys their favorite meal, fried chicken and a cake to celebrate Andrew's birthday. John said they all ate dinner together at the table, then watched a karate movie before going to bed. John says he had already made arrangements with a group he calls the Underground Sanctuary to give the boys away. And on Thanksgiving night at 10, John says he watched as 2 women and a man who looked like he was in his 60s pulled up to the house in their light-colored van to take Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner away. John says he told the boys they were going to have a better life with a new family, a family who lived on an Amish farm in Ohio right along the Indiana border. He promised them their new family would buy them the farm boots they'd been asking for and let them ride on a tractor whenever they wanted. Breaking down in tears for the fourth time during our interview, John said he regrets giving his boys away. Last month, we shared our exclusive prison interview with the boys' father, John Skelton. That visit was planned, but very recently, John Skelton had another visitor, and this was, for him, a complete surprise.
Please welcome from Amish in the city, Mose.
This is Mose Gingrich. If he looks familiar to you, there's a good reason why.
Want to see what's outside.
Mose grew up Amish. He left the community back in 2002 and became a TV personality practically overnight.
I didn't realize I missed the country that much.
Mose and his wife started what he describes as an underground railroad, an escape for Amish children who wanted to leave the old world for the new.
We just have a good old open house policy where new kids that leave and need help come in, and we help them get up and running.
A safe place.
A safe place.
Okay.
By now you're probably wondering, how is this man linked to John Skelton or his three missing boys?
It took me a while to connect the dots because I was like, how did this guy ever get my name?
John Skelton first told investigators he gave Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner away to live with another family where they would be safe. John said 2 women and a man in a light-colored van came to take the boys on Thanksgiving night. John later told investigators a man by the name of Mose Gingrich would help find his boys their new home. That detail of John's story hasn't been made public until now.
He mentioned my name.
So what happened when investigators first tracked down Mose Gingrich?
I had 2 different routes I could take. I could stay secretive about it, not tell one person about it, and crawl under a rock and let this guy control my life, or I can do what I'm doing. I can set out to prove that I'm innocent. I have nothing to hide.
Mose is cooperating with the investigation. In fact, in early March, he went to the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility to talk to John face to face.
He was pretty shocked to see me. He was completely caught off guard. He had no idea I was coming. I think when he gave the detectives this alibi that he gave these kids to an organization out of Missouri, he thought they might just follow up on this and maybe go interview me, and he'd never hear anything about it again. I don't think he ever once thought that the person he's accusing is going to come sit down and actually talk with him.
Did he recognize you?
Yeah, he recognized me immediately.
Mose says John Skelton looked uncomfortable, but it was obvious to Mose John is a quick thinker.
He's head and shoulders smarter than I would have given him credit for. Instead of blurting something out that was like, oh, you did that TV show, it took him 3 seconds to be like, I saw you in a picture. Somebody gave me a picture. And he was just, I couldn't believe how smooth he was. But I said, I want to talk to you about your 3 boys. You said your boys were given to an unlisted adoption agency. That agency sent them on down the line to me. And I said, I want you to know, Mr. Skelton, that I never received those 3 boys. If you did give them to an adoption agency, there was a disconnect between them and me. Not only did I never receive them, but I've never even heard of them until 6 months ago. And he acted just mind-blowing. Sad, tears started coming. He said, well, that was my last hope. That's the only thing I had left. I was always told that once I get out of jail, I can find you and I can contact you and you'll be able to tell me where these kids are. We think he probably seen this television program and thought, what a perfect alibi to continue this wild goose chase. John Skelton has told himself and the world so many lies and so many falsehoods over the last 7 years that he's come to believe most of them. His life's on the line. Once your life is on the line, you're going to do anything, any extreme measures to the ends of the earth to try to save your own life.
Mose plans to stay in contact with John in hopes of getting more information out of him. Back to you.
This is a prepaid call from John Skelton.
It's been more than 7 years since we've heard his voice, the father of the 3 missing boys from Morenci, the last person who saw them, and still claims they're safe, sits in prison. He's the only one who can solve the mystery of their disappearance.
Well, I'm not sure what I can say because of the ongoing investigation, but there is new development in the investigation. I'm hoping closer to finding, getting the boys back. They found one of the guys that I was talking about.
Which guy?
My name is Mose Gingrich.
Mose is the guy John Skelton told police would reunite him with Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner. Police brought Mose to confront John directly.
I want you to know, Mr. Skelton, that I never received those 3 boys.
When you saw him, you got your hopes up.
Yeah, I thought they already found my boys.
Oh, you did? Did you think that's what they were coming to tell you?
Yeah, that I was supposed to contact. I was like, all right, cool. And that's when he told me, well, they haven't come through me yet.
Mose says John was visibly shaken.
I haven't done very much since that meeting. A little melancholy, just thinking about, well, where do I go from here? Well, after that visit, I don't know. I was in shock that day. It did break my heart that he didn't have any. I told you, I was crying. I got emotional.
Yeah.
It did break my heart. I'm not a sociopath.
What are you thinking about the boys now?
I miss them. That's it. I know I'm not the only person who believes that my boys are safe. I know my family don't believe that they're in harm's way.
But you see how it's hard for other people to believe
No, I don't.
it. No, you don't?
No, I don't. They choose to believe what they want to believe.
What do you think the police think?
I don't know. They've always said we just want to find them.
John yet again tries to explain the search history investigators found on his home computer when the boys disappeared.
I was also explaining about that crap on the internet that, how to break a neck and stuff like that. Because my sons and I were watching this karate movie and they was asking me questions, and so we looked them up online.
Right, and I also asked you about the rat poison.
In the movie, there was this one lady got poisoned, and we may have looked that up too. I don't know. They just had some questions about death and dying and stuff like that.
They had questions about it, death and dying?
What? Well, yeah. Now, don't make this into something that I'm going to hang up with now. They were asking about the movie. Can somebody really die by doing that or stuff like that? I said, yeah, I'll show you. And then we went, and it was an educational time. It wasn't something morbid. I wasn't talking to them about death and stuff like that.
Even though it seems only John's family remains hopeful there will be a positive outcome, John continues to stick to his story.
I still believe they're safe. They're alive and they're well. I just don't know where.
You don't even have any doubt at all? I mean, you're saying 100%?
Yeah. I guess I can't do otherwise. They're my kids.
We recently talked to John on the phone from prison, the first time we'd heard his voice in 7 years. Then he called again. In our second conversation, John was vulnerable. In fact, he proclaimed his love for his ex-wife, Tanya. He also admitted he did wrong.
I've told them everything that I can remember. I've tried.
John Skelton says he gave his boys to an underground group. He says the boys are safe with them. He also says he's given the police all the information he can.
Like I'm saying, to heck with you. It's your problem, not mine. I've been helping them.
John told investigators he gave the boys to a group of people to keep them away from their mother, Tanya. John says Tanya was abusing their children.
Did you want to get back at Tanya for everything she had done?
No, just like I told you, I didn't do anything to try to hurt Tanya. I still love Tanya. It was my mom who told me I had to stop saying that.
Why did your mom tell you had to stop saying that?
I don't know. Maybe she thought it sounded stupid, ridiculous, or made me look like an idiot. I don't know.
We asked John if the underground group that has his kids were to hurt the boys, what would he do?
If I found out and I found him, I'd probably end up back in here because I'd hurt them.
So you think that person who, you know, God forbid, you know, ever hurt them, they should be hurt?
Yeah.
John says he plans to get out of prison in November 2025 when his sentence is up, but believes police will find a way to keep him behind bars. He says if he could go back and change things, he would.
I wouldn't burn all my evidence, any contacts, any evidence whatsoever. I wouldn't have burned that. I would have gotten, my parents involved, asked them what I should have, if I should really do this, ask them, if there's any other things that I could do. I don't know. I would have done a lot of things different, I suppose. But there was a plan, and it made me feel, I guess, anxiety. I felt like that was not the thing to do.
The plan John's referring to is his mom and dad told him they would come pick him up, take John by himself back down to Florida. John would live with them by himself, no kids. John says his parents demanded an answer by Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, 2010.
It felt like I was running out of time because I couldn't live there and I couldn't hold a job.
You felt like you were running out of time?
I felt like I was running out of options, and I wasn't going to leave my kids. I just did the wrong thing.
When you say you did the wrong thing, what do you mean? You should have chosen...
I should not have done what I did. I should have just lost my voice.
What do you mean?
Well, I should have just lived without my voice, and probably would have been the best thing to go to Florida and to deal with it. I did the wrong thing for the right reasons, the wrong way.
So how would you?
It's one of those things that at the time I was willing to pay the price, so I did.
John would also say if he was able to go back and change things, he would have made sure his parents had more information about the group that has Tanner, Andrew, and Alexander. He did not say he wouldn't give his boys away. If you'd like to hear the whole conversation, you can find it all on our podcast, Shattered Black Friday. You can find it on iTunes or wherever you download and listen.
Today marks the 8-year anniversary of the day the Skelton brothers vanished. We've been following their case from the very beginning. And now, in the most surprising twist yet, you're about to hear what their grandfather is saying about their mysterious disappearance.
This past summer, John Skelton Sr., his wife Roxanne, and daughter Lucinda went to visit John in prison. After that visit, they said they would never go back. Skelton says he feels John isn't sharing everything he knows.
He's hiding information. Well, I'm not gonna say he's not telling the truth, but I think he's telling the truth. But the truth, the whole story, of things concerned, he's hiding.
This is much different than what we heard from Skelton Sr. back when we visited the family at their home in Jacksonville in October of last year.
I don't care how drastic things could have gotten in his mind. He would have not hurt the boys.
They were things, bits and pieces I'd heard in the past, but when you sit back and objectively look at what he is saying and some of these other pieces that happened that were coincidental, they might have been strictly coincidental to this particular situation, but he wasn't aware that they happened. Huh. And I says, okay, I'm gonna put together my pitch to him, and I did. I voiced my opinions and things back and forth, and basically I told him it's time to put the whole story out there, not just bits and pieces that are probably the truth. perceived to be the truth, but you've got to put the whole story out there, and until that happens, and Mr. Brewer and I are up here to see you make that, happen, I probably won't see you again. I guess the last visit she had with him, well, his sister went up there too, and the sister, Lou, she kind of, I guess, walked out on him also. He's stubborn in some respects, and I think he's scared in other respects, and he wasn't gonna open up to me with other things about it, of which, if he had, I think we could have cleared up a lot of things and gotten a lot of extra help, but he wasn't ready to do it at that point. When I walked out of the room, I guess he kind of started to break down a little bit about the whole thing. I think I will end up talking to him again if the conditions are right and he has come to his senses and is willing to do what I think is going to have to be done on this whole situation. Then I will be there with the state officials, and we will sit down as a conference and go from there.
There's no one out there that really believes his story truly. Does that help me? Absolutely, because it does kind of back him into a corner. At the end of the day, this case is very simple. John was their dad. He was with them the night that they went missing. And whatever we can do for him to make him feel comfortable enough to trust us, I'm willing to do it.
Again, Michigan State Police continue to ask for your help in this case. A $60,000 reward is being offered right now for information that helps them find Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner Skelton. Back to you.